What if everything you thought you knew about the Flenory family was a lie? In episode 6 of BMF, the truth is about to come crashing down. Family secrets are being exposed, and it's only a matter of time before someone's loyalty is put to the ultimate test. In the world of BMF, family is everything. The bond between Meech and Terry Flenory is the heart of the story. But as the series progresses, cracks are starting to appear in this seemingly unbreakable connection. Season 4, Episode 6, sets the stage for a moment of reckoning, one that could change the entire trajectory of the Flenory Empire. The tension has been building, and now, it's all about the consequences of long-held family secrets coming to light. For the past few seasons, we've watched Meech and Terry rise to power, building their drug empire with ambition and careful planning. However, their rise to the top hasn't been without sacrifices. Along the way, there have been choices, both personal and professional, that have left their marks. Some decisions were made for the good of the family, others for the sake of the business. But not all decisions were made with the best intentions, and as we know, secrets have a way of coming back to haunt you. What's particularly chilling is the way the Flenory family's past is beginning to unravel. In the upcoming episode, it becomes clear that not everything in Meech and Terry's childhood was as ideal as it seemed. From the outside, the Flenory family appeared to be just another middle-class family trying to make it in the rough streets of Detroit. But what if there's more beneath the surface? What if certain members of the family have been hiding things for years? What if the very foundation of Meech's empire is based on a lie? In episode 6, viewers are finally going to get a deeper look into the past that shaped these brothers. One key scene in the trailer hints at a conversation between Meech and Lucille, their mother. The intensity in their exchange suggests that there are old wounds that have never healed. Did Lucille know more than she let on about the life her sons would eventually choose? Could she have been aware of the danger surrounding them from the start? And what role did Charles, their father, play in all of this? The flashbacks to their younger years show glimpses of a time before the Flenory name became synonymous with power and violence. This was when they were just two boys trying to survive in a world that didn't care about them. But in episode 6, it becomes evident that this story is much more than just a tale of ambition. It's a story of loyalty, betrayal, and hidden truths. One of the most intriguing aspects of these revelations is the role of Terry. While Meech has always been the dominant force in the family, Terry has often been seen as the more grounded one, the one who wanted to do things differently. But as episode 6 unfolds, the cracks in Terry's character become more apparent. Is his growing frustration with Meech a sign of deeper issues? Or is it the result of years of secrets and unspoken resentments finally coming to the surface? There's a growing sense that Terry's loyalty to his brother might be tested in ways we never expected. As family secrets are revealed, Terry might find himself questioning the very foundation of their relationship and his role in the empire they've built together. The way this all plays out in the upcoming episode could change the dynamic between Meech and Terry forever. Family loyalty has been a key theme in BMF, but as the past comes to light, the question becomes, how far can that loyalty stretch before it breaks? In the teaser for the episode, we see Meech and Terry standing together, but their faces tell a different story. Meech, with his usual confidence, seems unfazed by the chaos around him. Terry, on the other hand, looks more pensive, almost distant. Could this be the first real sign of division between the brothers? With family secrets being exposed, will their bond survive the storm? Or will it shatter under the weight of the truth? One thing's for sure, episode 6 is setting up a battle for the future of the Flenory family. And it's a war that will test both their personal relationships and their business. The key question here is, what will the Flenory brothers do when they finally confront the truth? Will they continue to ride or die for each other, or will their own family secrets tear them apart? Sometimes, the loudest explosions in a family don't come from screaming matches or physical fights, they come from silence. From the things nobody ever says. In BMF Season 4 Episode 6, the silence that has haunted the Flenory household for years is about to crack wide open. And what spills out might not just shake the family, it could destroy it. Lucille Flenory has always appeared to be the emotional anchor in a world spinning out of control. The praying mother, the believer, the one who still calls her sons boys even as they run a multi-state drug empire. But in episode 6, we start to question, what exactly is she praying for? And what has she been keeping close to her chest all these years? Because there's something about Lucille's eyes lately, a kind of fear mixed with guilt. It's subtle, but it's there. And when mothers are scared, it usually means something is about to fall apart. Asterisk, there's growing speculation that Lucille may be hiding something from Meech and Terry, something that could explain why the streets seem to be closing in on them. In a world built on control and information, secrets are currency. And if Lucille has been holding on to something from the past, an old relationship, a deal with someone dangerous, or even a buried family tie, then the brothers may be walking into a war they never saw coming. Asterisk, let's not forget Charles Flenory. His moral compass has always been rigid, and it drove a wedge between him and his sons. But what if his anger wasn't just about their criminal path? What if it was about a betrayal that happened long before they started selling drugs? A betrayal that was never spoken about but shaped how he viewed his family from the beginning. Episode 6 might not give us all the answers, but it's likely to peel back a layer of Charles we haven't seen before. And if he's been keeping quiet to protect his pride, or worse, to protect someone else, then that silence has been its own kind of weapon. Asterisk. We need to talk about one of the most overlooked aspects of family secrets: timing. The truth doesn't always come out when people are ready to hear it. Sometimes it drops at the worst possible moment, like when your enemies are closing in, or when your empire is hanging by a thread. And that's exactly what makes this episode dangerous. The Flenory brothers aren't just running from the law or rival dealers anymore. They're about to run straight into their own past. A past filled with people they thought they knew, choices that were made for them, and a truth that could shake their belief in everything they've built. Asterisk, what makes episode 6 unique is that it seems to be about power, but not the kind that comes from money or muscle. It's about emotional power. About who gets to control the narrative of your life. For so long, Meech has been the architect of his own world. He moves fast, stays ahead, outsmarts everyone. But when the truth is buried in your bloodline, you can't outrun it. And Terry, the more calculated one, may be blindsided if the people he trusted, most like his parents, have been hiding parts of the family story. Asterisk, and here's where it gets real. When these kinds of secrets come out, they don't just affect the people involved, they affect how people see each other. Lucille may no longer be seen as the devoted mother. Charles may lose the little respect he has left. Even Meech and Terry may start seeing each other differently. That's the true danger. Not the D, not Lamar, but a loss of trust so deep, it fractures everything. Asterisk, by the time episode 6 ends, we may not even be looking at the same Flenory family we started with. This isn't just another business threat. This is the ghost of their origin story, finally coming home. And once those secrets are spoken out loud, nothing can go back to the way it was. Asterisk, so the question isn't just what's the secret, it's who's going to survive it. Asterisk, picture this. A map laid out on a table. Cities marked in red. Detroit, locked down. Atlanta, expanding. But there's one city circled in thick black ink, St. Louis. It's not just another dot on Meech's empire. It's the next war zone, and in episode 6, the battle lines are finally being drawn. Asterisk, St. Louis isn't just a city in BMF, it's a symbol. A fresh territory, a vulnerable market, and a gold mine of opportunity if you can hold it, but deadly if you move too fast. It sits at the crossroads of the Midwest, where dirty money, corrupt politics, and ambitious crews all meet. Whoever takes St. Louis doesn't just control another corner, they own the flow of power between North and South. And Meech knows that. So do his enemies. Asterisk, from what we've seen so far in Season 4, Meech has always been 2 steps ahead. But now, the game is messier. The threats are no longer just rivals, they're moles, new players, and people pretending to be allies. In episode 6, the war for St. Louis starts to boil over. And it's not just about who can move product faster. It's about who's willing to burn the entire city down to take it. Asterisk, there's a quiet storm forming, and you can feel it in the way Meech starts watching people closer. He doesn't trust as easily, and who could blame him? Crews in St. Louis aren't built the same. They're slicker, hungrier, and less loyal. Everyone wants a seat at the table, and most of them are willing to slit throats to get it. Episode 6 gives us glimpses of this. The tension in club meetings, the coded threats, the missed phone calls, all of it leads to one thing. Somebody is about to make a power move, and it might not be Meech. Here's where it gets dangerous. St. Louis has history. Local crews that have been operating for years don't take kindly to outsiders, no matter how much muscle or money they bring. And while Meech is no stranger to claiming territory, this one comes with complications. Political strings, dirty cops, old alliances between gangs that don't get talked about out loud. You don't just walk into St. Louis, you have to survive it. Asterisk, but while Meech is plotting expansion, Terry might not be fully on board. This is where the emotional and strategic tension collide. Terry has always been cautious. He sees the value of building slow, holding ground. Meech wants to keep moving. Fast, loud, dominant. And that difference in vision could be the crack that their enemies exploit. You don't just win territory with bullets and drugs. You win it with unity. And if the Flenory brothers aren't fully aligned, St. Louis could become their biggest mistake. Asterisk. There's also a looming question of who's feeding information to the streets. Is there a rat inside Meech's operation? Someone who knows their next move before it's made. It's no longer just speculation. Episode 6 drops visual hints. A look exchanged between B. Mickey and a new face. A phone call cut short when someone walks into the room. These aren't random moments. They're breadcrumbs. And they all lead to one truth. St. Louis isn't just a fight for territory, it's a test of loyalty. Asterisk as the episode unfolds. Expect ambushes. Expect betrayal. Expect someone to bleed. Because this isn't a negotiation anymore, it's a war. And in war, no one walks away clean. Asterisk Meech has made it clear. He wants to take over the country. But episode 6 reminds us of something even more real. Before you can rule the nation, you've got to win the block. And in St. Louis, the block fights back. Asterisk, that's the energy in BMF right now. Episode 6 doesn't just bring heat, it brings paranoia. Everyone's watching everyone. Everyone's guessing who's next. And every character we thought we understood is starting to show a different face. This war isn't just fought in the streets, it's fought in the shadows, behind smiles, between the lines of loyalty and betrayal. So let's zoom in. Let's put the spotlight where it belongs, on the people caught in this storm. Asterisk Meech has always been the visionary, the empire builder, the man who moves with boldness, like he already knows how the story ends. But in episode 6, that confidence begins to feel more like pressure. He's running out of time, out of people he can trust, and maybe even out of second chances. You'll notice something if you look close. He's not sleeping much anymore. His eyes are a little darker. The way he talks is a little more clipped, like he's starting to realize that building an empire is easy, keeping it alive when your own blood might turn on you. That's the real war. Asterisk. Then there's Terry, the one who used to be the safe bet. The voice of reason, the brother with a plan. But the deeper we go into season 4, the more he starts to drift. Not from the business, from himself. Terry's torn between being a family man and a street boss, and every episode makes that line blur. In episode 6, you might notice him pulling away from Meech, from the plan, maybe even from the truth. And that makes him dangerous. Because a man with divided loyalty is the easiest pawn on the board. Or worse, the one who flips the whole game. Mickey is the wild card. Always has been. But this time, something's different. He's quieter, sharper, and that silence feels like strategy. Let's not forget, B. Mickey is still carrying guilt, secrets, and maybe even a grudge. In the trailer, there's a moment where he disappears from the frame just as things start to heat up. Is he laying low, or setting someone up? That's the thing with B. Mickey, you never really know what side he's on until the gun is already drawn. Asterisk, and don't sleep on Detective Bryant, either. He may have lost control, but men like him never stop hunting. With the law closing in and political pressure growing, he's one bad decision away from going completely off. And when people like Bryant stop following rules, innocent people get hurt. He's not chasing justice anymore, he's chasing relevance, and that's terrifying. Asterisk, let's talk predictions, not just for what might happen, but for why it's going to matter. Asterisk, someone close is going to betray the crew, and it's not who you think. Watch the body language. Who's watching instead of acting? Who's silent when they should speak up? Asterisk, St. Louis will break someone, emotionally or physically. This city isn't big enough for all these egos. And someone's going to fall before episode 7. Asterisk, Lucille may finally tell the truth, and when she does, the entire Flenory legacy might look different. Asterisk, Meech and Terry are headed for a split. It's not a question of if, it's how hard the fall will be. Asterisk, but here's the scariest prediction of all. What if the real threat isn't external? What if Meech is becoming the very thing he swore to fight? Cold, untouchable, and willing to lose everything for power. Asterisk, the streets of BMF are filled with enemies, but the deadliest ones are always the ones closest to home. And as episode 6 sets the pieces for the back half of the season, There's one undeniable truth. This isn't just about drugs, power, or money anymore. It's about legacy. And legacy always comes with blood. Asterisk, by now, we've seen the writing on the wall. Episode 6 of BMF Season 4 isn't just a turning point. It's a fuse that's been lit for something far more explosive. Secrets are out, loyalties are bending, and the city of St. Louis, it's starting to feel less like an expansion move and more like a death trap. Asterisk, but here's what makes BMF so different from any other crime drama. It's not just about guns and territory. It's about choices. The kind that haunt you. The kind that come back years later when you're at the top and you think you're untouchable. And that's where Meech and Terry are right now, standing on the edge of something they can't fully see yet. Maybe it's betrayal. Maybe it's legacy. Maybe it's each other. Asterisk, let's be honest. Someone's not making it to the end of this season. The vibe has changed. There's tension in every room now, even when nobody's speaking. You feel it when Meech glances over his shoulder. You feel it when Terry hesitates before answering a question. You feel it in Lucille's quiet stares. These aren't just plot devices, they're signs that the walls are closing in. Slowly, from all directions. Asterisk, and fans are noticing. The theories are wild right now. Some think B. Mickey is working with a new player. Possibly a crew from Chicago trying to backdoor their way into St. Louis. Others believe Terry might flip, not to the law, but emotionally, stepping away from Meech in a moment of weakness that costs them everything. There's even buzz that Lucille and Charles's past could tie directly into one of their new enemies, a family grudge that's been hidden for decades. Asterisk, but no matter which theory hits hardest, one thing's for sure, BMF is no longer about building an empire. It's about surviving one. So ask yourself, what happens when trust is the most dangerous thing you can give someone? Asterisk, what happens when family becomes the battlefield? Asterisk, and when the smoke clears in St. Louis? Who's still going to be standing? Asterisk, we don't have all the answers yet. But we do know this. Episode 6 is the beginning of something much darker. A shift in power. A fracture in the bond. A ghost from the past walking straight into the future. Asterisk, so, whether you're Team Meech, Team Terry, or Team Burn It All Down, one thing's certain. Asterisk.